Good morning, everyone. How's everyone this morning? Nice and toasty in here. If you're needing to peel off some layers, please go ahead and do so. It's always a challenge this time of year to get it just right, but we can roll with it, I'm sure. My name is Karen Marcus, and I'm your lay leader for today's service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lower Bucks, and we are so very glad that you are here. As a community that is built on connection, love, and acceptance of all, you are a part of our story. So thank you for being here with us. And we hope that this time together nourishes your spiritual journey. Every month, we put up a new Soul Matters theme, and you hear about it from the lay leader at the beginning of the service. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the title of it, Practice of Presence. You've noticed practice is in everything, whatever the word is that we're centered around, but practice is always there. And so I reflected on that a little bit as I was getting ready for this morning's service. And, why do you think they put the word practice in there? They could just say presence was our theme. Well, I think it acknowledges the fact that we're not perfect. And like an athlete would say, you have to do things over and over and over again in order to become better and stronger and more skillful. So hence, we are practicing presence. And I think it's an interesting theme to pick for this time of year with all the busy things that we have going on with all the holiday events. And in the write-up that we have, there were a few quotes, but I want to focus on one this morning that was particularly impactful to a group of us that we were talking about it during the week. And I hope that some of this information sinks in enough that you talk about it or think about it during the week. And the quote was from Lao Tzu that states, "If you are depressed or guilty, you are living in the past. And if you are anxious, you are living in the future." So do a check-in. How are you feeling? Where are you today? Where are you in this moment? And I invite you to come back to the present. And another quote that I'll just emphasize is further on in the write-up. And you can read these write-ups in your weekly e-news or on our bulletin board. But let me just stress this one, that one of the best feelings in the world is knowing that your presence and absence both mean something to someone. And we are joyful today to have as our guest speaker, since you see me here all by myself up in front, he is coming to us virtually, but we've had him before, the Reverend Dr. Neal Jones. So he's with us on Zoom. For anyone who does not know Reverend Neal, he's a psychologist and has served as a minister in 5 different congregations in the Carolinas, Texas, and most recently in Pennsylvania. Anybody who's been associated with the Mainline or knows somebody from Mainline Unitarian knows of Reverend Neal. And we connected with him over the pandemic period because we were all virtual during that time. And he came to us as a virtual speaker, and we liked him so much that we've been inviting him back, and we're really glad he's able to be with us periodically. We really want him to come in person. He's a real person, in contrast to the subject matter he has given us for the day. His sermon title is Putting Santa Back into Christmas. And like any good teacher, he's got questions for us. Where did Santa Claus come from? Every good test has a gimme. Where does Santa Claus come from? Anybody know? Well, I have some ideas. Maybe he'll tell us. What does he represent? And most importantly, should we keep him in our celebration of Christmas? Well, as we think about that as our sermon message, let's talk about some other holiday celebrities with our musical prelude by Avi Wisnia. He's going to talk about Rudolph and Frosty. Avi.
That's right. Good morning, everybody, whether you're in this room or on this Zoom. So today, due to today's theme and of course the season that we're in, I'm going to play some of my favorite holiday songs today, some that you can sing along to. And since we're talking about characters that come up this time of year, I realize there are two very famous ones that you hear about a lot, certainly on the radio, on TV. And when I started to play these songs, I realized how similar they were that I kept getting them mixed up. So I went with that today. So we're going to start not with one song, but with two songs today. They call it a mashup. And so here is a mashup of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty the Snowman. You could try to sing along if you want. We'll see if you can keep up. Here we go. You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen. You know Comet and Cupid and Donner and... Yes. But do you recall the most famous snowman of all? Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul with a corncob pipe and a button nose and two eyes made out of coal. Oh, Frosty the Snowman is a fairy tale, they say. He was made of snow, but the children know how he came to life one day. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Oh, thumpity-thump, thump, thumpity-thump, look at Rudolph go. Thumpity-thump, thump, thumpity-thump, over the hills of snow. Oh, Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul with a corncob pipe and a button nose and two eyes made out of coal. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Frosty join in any reindeer games. There must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found. Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Frosty the Snowman was alive as he could be, and the children say he could laugh and play just the same as you and me. Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee. But he waved goodbye saying, don't you cry, I'll be back again someday. Oh, thumpity-thump, thump, thumpity-thump, look at Frosty go. Thumpity-thump, thump, thumpity-thump, over the hills of snow. Oh, Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul, and if you ever saw him, you would even say he glows like a light bulb. Then how the children loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, you'll go down in history, over the hills of snow.
Thank you, Avi. I thought there was a holiday song I hadn't heard of before, Rudolph and Frosty. Now I understand. But thank you, that was very creative and fun. So now I'd like to invite Mike up here to help me light the chalice and listen to these opening words. Suspended between all that was and all that might be, we struggle to find this very moment, to live this very moment. Let us sit together for a moment and savor this moment. Let us relish this between time where past meets future. Let us harbor a faith that reminds us that right now, right here, is enough. And now I'd like to invite Nancy Harvin to join me up here with a message for all ages.
Well, Karen asked me to read this, and I was a little anxious, as she mentioned this morning. And so she told me to practice, as she also mentioned this morning. So I did, and I hope it shows. And so then I thought I'll just be in the present and read this book to you today, and I hope you enjoy it. It's all about Santa seeing the world for the first time in a different way. Oh, let me give you the title. Slow Down, Santa, written by Tracy Blom. A month before Christmas, Santa was stressed. His shop was chaotic. His beard was a mess. To make matters worse, Rudolph's nose wouldn't shine. He zigzagged instead of flew in a straight line. The elves tried all kinds of tricks, most involving peppermint sticks. But his nose wouldn't shine, and no one knew why. Rudolph the reindeer just couldn't fly. When it came time to grade the reindeer on their flying, they gave Rudolph an A, but they were lying. He could get off the ground, but in no time at all, he would zigzag, spiral, and then he would fall. Santa thought long and hard and then long, while he hummed a favorite Christmas song. Hurry, everybody, pack up the sleds. We have to leave early, Santa Claus said. They sailed through the sky like a strange shooting star, but things went awry, and they didn't get far. On Dasher, on Dancer, on, oh, we're going down! Santa steered the sleigh toward some lights on the ground. Thousands of candles covered the land, surrounded by flowers and colorful sand. Santa gasped and said, oh, what a sight! At Rudolph's nose flickered a sliver of light. Rudolph was ready to fly once more. They took to the sky and they started to soar. But he got dizzy and spiraled around towards colorful lanterns down on the ground. Some looked like kaleidoscopes, others like snowflakes. Others spun colorful patterns and shapes. I've always wanted to see the lanterns here, but I'm just too busy at this time of year. I was trying to, figure out where was Santa? Where is Santa with these lights? And I believe that was Diwali, and he's seeing all sorts of things he's missed before. The sky looked fluorescent as comets zipped by. Nope, it was fireworks up in the sky. They plummeted towards an ice skating crowd as Rudolph's nose flashed and fans cheered out loud. They're in Toronto. What has happened to all of the snow? Santa says as they dip towards the ocean below, where hundreds of Santas surf the tide. And for once, the real Santa took a ride. They flew towards the village where most were asleep and silently crept without making a peep. His signature tiptoe came in quite handy as he filled the shoes with coins, fruit, and candy. I think that's Germany that does that with the shoes. That's what my girlfriend said. Anyways, Holland? Yeah, I think a couple do that. Since he had time, Santa walked down the hall and gazed with delight at the sight that he saw. Kids were sharing letters they had written that year, wishing Santa safe travels, tidings, and cheer. All of a sudden, Rudolph's nose cast a light that lit up the house. It was that bright. The kids rushed from the rooms, but Santa was quick and flew up the chimney. That's his favorite trick. Santa was shocked as he looked at his sack. We've delivered all presents. Let's head on back. The snow poured down, but it was okay. Rudolph's red nose could guide the sleigh. Back in the stable, the deer were tucked in. Santa looked at Rudolph and said with a grin, I think I know why your nose wouldn't work. It's because I was running around all berserk. Thank you for making me slow down and see the beauty of Christmas and all it can be. Santa still has a few lessons to learn.
Thank you, Nancy. Let's sing Go Now in Peace as the children go off to RE.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of us surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
So we'll pause for a moment in our service to do our offertory, with the shared plate recipient for the month of December being Advocates for Homeless and Those in Need. As you've heard before, they transport people, particularly during this time of year under their Code Blue program, to warm places to spend the night, and they also offer free meals. So please donate generously. Thank you again for your generosity. Your offering is accepted with love and gratitude. And now it is my pleasure to invite the Reverend Dr. Neal Jones to join us by Zoom for his reading this morning.
Thank you, Karen, and good morning to everyone. It's good to be with you this December morning. Our reading is a poem, a Christmas poem written by Maya Angelou, which she read for the first time at the lighting of the National Christmas Tree in Washington, D.C. in 2005. And it was my privilege to hear her read it to our class, where I was a student and she was the teacher at Wake Forest University some 40 years ago. It goes like this. It is the glad season. In our joy, we think we hear a whisper. At first, it is too soft, then only half heard. We listen carefully as it gathers strength. We hear a sweetness. The word is peace. It is loud now. It is louder, louder than the explosion of bombs. We tremble at the sound. We are thrilled by its presence. It is what we have hungered for, not just the absence of war, but true peace, a harmony of spirit, a comfort of courtesies, security for our beloveds and their beloveds. It is Christmas time, a halting of hate time. We, angels and mortals, believers and non-believers, look heavenward and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at our world and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at each other, then into ourselves, and we say without shyness or apology or hesitation, peace, my brother. Peace, my sister. Peace, my soul.
Thank you, Dr. Neal. It's important to remember that this time of year teaches us many lessons, and while secular music is something that we're often singing and listening to this time of year, there's still a lot of spirit that we can enjoy from that. And in that vein, Avi will bring us a musical interlude, Silver Bells.
City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air there's a feeling of Christmas. Children laughing, people passing, meeting smile after smile. And on every street corner you hear silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring-a-ling, hear them sing. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Strings of street lights, even stoplights, blink of bright red and green as the shoppers rush home with their treasures. Hear the snow crunch, see the kids bunch. This is Santa's big scene, and above all that bustle you hear silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring-a-ling, hear them sing. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring-a-ling, hear them sing. Soon it will be Christmas Day.
Thank you, Avi. It's always so special hearing you sing, all the music you bring us. Thank you again. And now let us welcome back the Reverend Dr. Neal Jones for his sermon message, Putting Santa Back in Christmas.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Avi. I too always enjoy your music. Well, Christmas was a worrisome time for a Baptist boy growing up in a small town in rural North Carolina in the 1960s. The preoccupying question was, would Santa come this year? Now, I was a wholesome, clean-cut lad, but clearly not perfect. It's not that I committed many naughty acts, but I fantasized about them a lot. The nagging questions were, how much is too much? What could I get away with? And when is the scale tipped from nice to naughty? And my parents exploited that uncertainty to their advantage. I can still hear my mother's voice as clear as day. Keep behaving like that, little mister, and Santa will not bring you any presents this year. And what a tragedy that would be to find no presents under the tree because I had miscalculated Santa's mercy. Then I would suffer the humiliation of facing my friends on Christmas morning with nothing to show but a bag of apples. Am I good enough? That's a question that has haunted me much of my life. And it began back in childhood, thanks in part to Santa. So I had to be circumspect in composing my wish list for Santa. For me, the Christmas season began with the arrival of the Sears catalog. As I thumbed through the pages of the toy section, my desires exploded into an orgy of items for my wish list. But finally, reason would settle in. What was I thinking? I can't ask for all that. If I ask for too much, I might appear greedy and tip the scale so that I would end up on Santa's naughty list. So then I began the painstaking task of paring down my wish list. Now, on my 9th Christmas, I made a life-altering decision. Would I don a cowboy hat or a coonskin cap, with the raccoon tail and back? In other words, would I be a cowboy or Daniel Boone, as portrayed by Fess Parker on the popular TV series? Well, as I watched that series, my decision became crystal clear. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, with an eye like an eagle and as tall as a mountain was he. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man. He was brave, he was fearless, as tough as a mighty oak tree. From the coonskin cap on top of old Dan to the heel of his rawhide shoe, the rippin'est, roaring'est, fightin'est man the frontier ever knew. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, and he fought for America to make all Americans free. I bet you haven't heard that song in church before. Well, it was that scene in the opening credits that when he flung his hatchet and split the tree that convinced me that I wanted to be Daniel Boone when I grew up. Now, being a minister has its daring moments, but it doesn't compare with being Daniel Boone. So for that Christmas, I asked for a Daniel Boone musket with one of those long sticks to tap down the gunpowder. Would I also ask for a pistol? No, I didn't need 2 guns. Would I ask for a Bowie knife? Well, yes, I needed a weapon for close range fighting and to skin deer and bear. Would I ask for frontier gloves with fringe on the sides? Well, no, Daniel Boone didn't always wear gloves. Would I ask for a canteen? Well, Daniel always had one slung over his shoulder, and it would be refreshing to take a cold swig of water on one of those hot, sweaty days. Would I ask for caps for my musket? Well, yeah, what's the point of having a rifle without sound effects? Would I ask for a stick horse? No, my friends would think I was a girly man if I rode a stick horse. Real men ride bicycles. So, with my pared down wish list, I went downtown to Rose's dime store to sit on Santa's knee and place my order. I threw myself on his mercy that he would deem my request as reasonable and would deem me as being good enough. Well, Santa has a long, storied history, and it begins with a real person by the name of Saint Nicholas, a 3rd century bishop of Myra, which is Turkey today. Saint Nicholas was admired for his piety and kindness, and his legend spread throughout Europe as he became the most popular of saints. He was venerated for saving storm-tossed sailors for defending young children, and for giving generous gifts to the poor. His feast day was December 6th, the anniversary of his death, such that December 6th became a lucky day to make large purchases or to get married. And it became a day of giving gifts. Now, the Protestant reformers encouraged the veneration of the Christ child as the gift giver on his birthday, December 25th. But the St. Nicholas tradition became attached to December 25th as well. And at that point in time, St. Nicholas was depicted as wearing bishop's robes, riding through the sky on horseback, rewarding good boys and girls who knew their catechism with sweets. And he was accompanied by Black Peter, an elf who punished those who failed the catechism test. Now, we've always associated anybody or anything that's black with being bad, haven't we? Well, the St. Nicholas tradition was brought to America by Dutch immigrants in New York. St. Nick's Dutch name was Santa Claus. In 1822, Clement Moore, an Episcopal priest, wrote a Christmas poem for his three daughters entitled An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas, the first line of which reads, "'Twas the night before Christmas." So Clement Moore is responsible for our modern image of Santa Claus. He portrayed Santa Claus as being portly, jolly, elf who rode in a sleigh pulled by flying reindeer. His Santa laughs and winks and nods and enters and leaves homes by the chimney. Now, this image of Santa was further elaborated by Thomas Nast, a political cartoonist for Harper's Weekly. In the 1860s, he depicted a rotund, human-sized Santa with a full white beard, dressed in a bright red suit trimmed with white fur, carrying a sack of toys for lucky children. And Santa's home was at the North Pole, where elves make toys. Well, it didn't take long for advertisers to co-opt Santa to boost sales. Stores began advertising Christmas shopping as early as the 1820s. By the 1840s, newspapers were creating separate sections for holiday advertising, featuring images of Santa. In 1841, a Philadelphia store featured the first live Santa. In the 1890s, the Salvation Army dressed unemployed men in Santa costumes to ring bells for donations. In the 1930s, the Coca-Cola Company was looking for ways to boost sales during the winter months, which was a slow time for cold soft drinks. So they incorporated an image of Santa in their holiday campaign. And since then, Christmas has been associated with a jolly Santa drinking Coca-Cola. Now, I regret to report to you that the church has tried to get rid of Santa. In 1931, Pope Paul VI expunged St. Nicholas from the roster of saints. In 1951, the Catholic Church began a movement to get rid of Santa. In France, the clergy denounced Santa as a pagan and a heretic who was dominating the celebration of Christmas. In Dijon, France, the church held a rally in the square in front of the cathedral. Hundreds of children had to witness the lynching of Santa, who was hung in effigy and whose beard was caught on fire. It was an old-fashioned burning at the stake, like Joan of Arc. Well, the next day, the citizens struck back with a pro-Santa rally. Santa was resurrected and appeared on the town hall roof to reassure the children. So it turns out that mustard is not the only spice of life in Dijon. On the Protestant side of Christianity, the Puritans were appalled by the excess of Christmas. In 1652, the Puritan English Parliament, under the leadership of Oliver Cromwell, actually outlawed Christmas, which brings to mind H.L. Mencken's definition of a Puritan. Mencken said, "A Puritan is a person who has the haunting fear that someone somewhere is having fun." Well, the Puritans in America had a very subdued Christmas observance. In fact, until the mid-19th century, Congress actually met on Christmas Day. In our day, conservative Christians have continued the Puritan war against Christmas in their so-called culture war. In their paranoia, they believe there is a secular, atheistic conspiracy afoot when store clerks wish you happy holidays instead of Merry Christmas. They haven't considered the possibility that maybe businesses are trying to be inclusive of all people who celebrate various holidays in December. They'd like Christmas to be a purely Christian holiday, which is why they have their cutesy slogans like "Keep Christ in Christmas" and "Jesus is the reason for the season." I used to have a fundamentalist neighbor who informed me that Santa has all the letters of the word Satan. Well, conservative Christians are right. Jesus is the reason for the season. But so is Hanukkah. So is Kwanzaa. So is the winter solstice. So is Santa Claus. And let's be honest, in our consumeristic culture, the end of the year sales are the main reason for the season. So why won't Santa go away? I believe it's because he is the incarnation of generosity. He's jolly and cheerful. He works all year to provide us with gifts. He may keep a naughty and nice list, but you'd have to be a serial killer to end up on his naughty list. I think of Santa as being a secular God image. He accepts everyone unconditionally, and he loves extravagantly, which is why not just children, but adults too, are drawn to him. Now, the irony is that American Christianity hasn't done a very good job of incarnating generosity. The United States is the most Christian country in the world. 85% of Americans call themselves Christian. By comparison, only 77% of the people in Israel call themselves Jewish. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the United States ranks number 1 in military assistance, but dead last among the developed countries in development assistance to poor countries as a percentage of our GNP and in per capita terms. Per capita, we give only 15 cents a day. And it's not because we Americans are giving to private charities instead. Private funding increases our average daily donation to 21 cents. The countries that contribute the most to assist poor countries are those secular, atheistic, socialistic countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands. And it's not because we Americans are too busy taking care of our own. 18% of American children live in poverty, compared to 8% in Sweden. In every category of compassion, the U.S. ranks last among the rich nations, last in healthcare coverage, last in childhood nutrition, last in infant mortality, last in access to preschool, last in literacy. Jesus may have taught and practiced compassion, but his followers have not followed his example very well. I agree with Gandhi. Christianity is a wonderful religion. I wish more Christians would practice it. Maybe we would be a more compassionate nation if instead of becoming Christians, we became Santa Clausians. The so-called culture war is not between Santa and Jesus. It's between Santa and Gordon Gekko. Remember him? The Michael Douglas character in the movie Wall Street? Gekko was the incarnation of greed. He's the one who famously said, "Greed is good. Greed is right. Greed works." His philosophy is that of Ayn Rand, who turned morality on its head by justifying and extolling greed and selfishness as virtues. And let's face it, greed is the fuel that generates our economy, which would tank if not for consumer spending. 70% of all economic activity in this country is constituted by consumer spending. The economist John Kenneth Galbraith observes, the modern economy doesn't flourish by satisfying the needs of consumers, but by creating desires for products consumers don't need at all. And of course, corporations create these desires through advertising. By age 20, the average American has seen over 1 million commercial messages. On average, you and I will spend 1 full year of our lives watching commercials. Why? Because advertising works. Since 1950, Americans have consumed more resources than all the people on the planet who have lived previously. The average American consumes more than 5 times more than the average Mexican, 10 times more than the average Chinese, 30 times more than the average Indian. And like missionaries, we want to spread our consumerism to the rest of the world. But the planet cannot sustain our lifestyle. Well, since we're meeting in a place of worship, let us ask, what is the spiritual cost of our addiction to stuff? I think a good answer comes from Dante's Inferno. You may remember that in Dante's work, sinners were punished by being forced to live forever with the sin that they fell victim to while on earth. Now, in the case of the greedy, Dante comes across them lying face down in a bland dust for all eternity. And they confess to Dante, in life, we would not raise our eyes to the shining spheres, but kept them turned to mundane things. When we become fixated on money and the things that money can buy, we lose sight of the shining spheres of what really matters in life. Or, to use the words of Jesus, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? The most disturbing spiritual consequence of our consumerism is the example that's being lifted up. Not the common good, but what's good for me. Not the commonwealth, but my private wealth. Not public service, but service to the ego. The spiritual question is, do you have a purpose in life that's bigger than your wants, your needs, and your desires? Do you have a purpose that's bigger than you? I don't know about you, but I'm tired of acquiring more stuff that I don't want or need. This Christmas, do we really need more gloves, more scarves, more scented candles, or a Snuggie? Here's an alternative. We could go to the website whatgoesaround.org. It's like a wedding registry, but instead of telling friends what flatware and tumblers you'd like, you tell them what charities you'd like to support. When someone wants to give you a gift, they go to the website, they go to your give list, and they make a donation by pointing and clicking. Or here's another alternative. Playing the generosity game. We play the generosity game when we do something good for someone anonymously, like put change in someone's expired parking meter. Or when you go into the bakery, buy a treat for the next person who walks in. Or when you're standing in line, in the checkout line at the grocery store, you pay for an item of the person behind you and leave a card that says, "This is for you. Now it's your turn." Do something good for someone, but do it anonymously and pass on this card. It's a fun, creative way of spreading random acts of kindness. Why won't Santa go away? It's because the old doctrine of original sin is a half-truth. Yes, greed and selfishness are part of our human nature, but so are generosity and kindness. I think Francis Church's letter to the little girl Virginia says it best. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist. And you know that they abound and give to your life its highest beauty and joy. How dreary the world would be if there were no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith, no poetry, no romance to make tolerable this existence. The eternal light with which childhood fills the world would be extinguished. No Santa Claus. Thank God he lives and lives forever. 1,000 years from now, he will continue to make glad the hearts of children. And hopefully, adults too. Amen.
Here to unpack. And I don't think I'll look at Santa in the same way. And I love the fact that when I do see a Santa now, that concept of generosity is the thought that's going to enter my head and hopefully inspire me. And I hope it inspires you. Now's the time in our service when we share with one another our joys and sorrows. So if you have something to share with this group, I invite you to this microphone. And here we go.
Hello, I'm Jeff Ellis, and talk about St. Nicholas, maybe flashback on the days in the 90s where I got to travel around the world. I went to Turkey a lot, including Myra, and I saw St. Nicholas' tomb, which unfortunately the bones were stolen from, but that's where he was laid to rest. and the company I worked for, L3 Communications, for 25 years. Yesterday I spoke with Stan, because I applied for a job and he's working there, so we'll have a longer conversation. Perhaps I'll go back to work for L3 Communications. We'll see.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else?
Good morning. I'm Bill Stroop, and the message today was very powerful. But I'd like to recognize someone who epitomizes generosity. My wife, Nancy. Today, she generously bequeathed to the fellowship another check based on all of her hard work and everybody's generosity, purchasing gifts, another check for $500 for our building fund. And that's based on all of her hard work, day in and day out, making things to give other people some joy. And by the way, today is the last day of this season, commercial, to check out Nancy's crafts and be generous and find a gift for somebody else. But let's thank Nancy for her hard work.
Anyone else? Bill's coming up. Is that the same, or you want a microphone too?
I'll bring it over to her. How's that? So I got to go to a seminar, and what was great about it is I got to bring Robin, because throughout the years I'd go different places, but we had kids, so she'd be home. So it made the seminar a lot of fun, just having Robin there. And I know what I'll let you say it, but yesterday we had a great family party. We had a birthday celebration for my daughter, who's 27, my nephew, who's 15, and Bill, who's 44 for the 50th time. Shall I bring it to you? Oh.
So Jane's going to speak from her seat.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you very much. May I stay here?
Yeah.
May I stay here? I want to say that yesterday was a great day for me. It was my husband's birthday. Bill is a wonderful, wonderful husband, and it was so good to celebrate it with all my family. Thank you, all of our family.
I think Bill wants to join in on the. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Certainly. Would come up here. We do it up here for people who can move so that our virtual attendees can.
Hello, everyone. I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is also Bill. I'm aware there's at least 3 other bills in the room as well. This is my first time here, so like I said, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting some of you while we're doing coffee. And I've already met a couple of you. It seems the first thing that everybody asks is how I found this place. So just so everyone knows, I was raised Catholic. I haven't been practicing for quite a long time, and I just turned 30 back in August, and I've really been feeling something that I've always been a little bit jealous of with that community, is that they have a community, and I don't really have that right now. So I've been kind of just doing some research on different church denominations to try to see something that really, I agree with and that fits in with me. So, just testing the waters today, and I'm really been enjoying everything so far. So I'm looking forward to coming back again. But yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? I know that our folks that are out on Zoom can't actually voice their joys and sorrows, but I would like to remind us all that for all the joys that are spoken in this room today and felt out there, I hope you feel us celebrating with you, and for any sorrows that are there, feel our compassion and sympathy as well. Let's sing Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
So as we wind down this service, I have a meditation to offer you. I think of these meditations as prayerful times, so I just invite you to get comfortable and to listen and be present in this moment. O Spirit that moves in all things, great mystery, whose reach spans beyond the cold, distant edges of our universe, and yet is present within the vast subatomic emptiness, coursing through every fiber and every breath of our being, and through being itself. Help us to see the miracle in the mundane, to see the crystal stars, the shape-shifting clouds, the patient trees, to see each other through fresh eyes. For it is so easy to forget what we truly are and what we have been given. As we move through our lives, let us remember to see through the mundane to the miracle beneath, and to perceive that common substance that gives birth to our myriad forms, that mystery that spans beyond the edges of the universe and yet infuses our next breath. And let this foundational awareness guide us on our paths as we work towards peace and fight for justice, while always informed by a spirit of compassion. May it be so. Amen. And now Avi will lead us in a closing song, so I invite you to stand as you are able so we can get the blood moving. Another wonderful Christmas time carol.
One of our more modern carols, I would say, and certainly whatever faith tradition you grew up with or that you practice now, hopefully that as we enter this time going into the end of the year, that we can all enjoy this season, the most wonderful time of the year. So let's sing together. The words are on the screen if you would like to join in, and I hope that you will. It's the most wonderful time time of the year. With the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all. With those holiday greetings and gay happy meetings when friends come to call. It's the happiest season of all. There'll be parties for roasting, marshmallows for toasting and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of holidays long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of holidays long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. With the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time. Yes, it's the most wonderful time. Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
May awareness lead you on your way. May you always be where you are, free from the quicksand of the past, and let loose from the imagined fires of the future. And may you always hear the precious present calling you home. This concludes our service. For those of you on Zoom, thank you for being here. We hope you'll join us again next week. And I know we'll all be talking about Reverend Neal's message, so let's give him a round of applause to thank him for his sermon. And for everyone here, join us in the cafeteria as we continue in fellowship and conversation. And we'll see you again next week. Go now in peace.